Sports presents.
Boyd's Noise, the best source for prep information in the region. Are you ready for Boyd's Noise? Bring the noise! Welcome in, everyone. You know what it is. It's another edition of Boyd's Noise here on Iron Skillet Radio, Iron Skillet Television. Boyd's Noise is the best prep information in the region. We're here with James Boyd of the Times. James, how are you doing today?
Doing good. On the move as we speak. Got to go check out the girls' soccer game between Andrean and Lake Central at Andrean. Other than that, I mean, the past week, after I talked to you all, things got pretty crazy and you know, good crazy, bad crazy, depending on whose side you're on. But it was a very eventful week for me, and definitely a lot of breaking news.
Yeah, there was a lot of breaking news, a lot of stuff that was going on, and it was a lot, baby. So let's just jump into it. Let's jump into it with a wrap of week 5 and what happened with week 5. So let's do the wrap. Are you ready for Boyd's Noise? All right, James. So let's talk about what happened in week 5. Let's break it down for the listeners, for those who weren't there, or for those who want to know what's going on. What happened in week 5?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, another football Friday, but for me, I actually wasn't at a game this Friday because the game, or this past Friday because the game I was supposed to go to, which was Hobart at Lowell, got canceled because Lowell had a positive test within their program, and then because of the amount of players they had to quarantine, they weren't going to have enough to field a varsity team. So that game got canceled on Thursday evening, probably about 24 hours before the game was actually supposed to start the next day. So that was really disappointing just because Hobart and Lowell are, you know, two of our top 5 teams in the region right now, 2 really good programs. And both of them were going to open, I believe, Northwest Crossroads Conference play that week. So that was disappointing. Then on the flip side, you also had teams starting back up. Like the day after talking to you all, the day after Calumet got reinstated for football and their fall contact sports. Hammond reversed its decision and reinstated fall sports to all 4 Hammond schools, which is Hammond, Clark, Gavin, and Morton. And then that Friday, you know, instead of covering a game, I actually ended up writing about Whiting because on Friday evening, they decided to bring their fall sports back as well. So obviously it's still fluid, and some teams had to miss a week like Michigan City and Lowell and others. But, you know, at the same time, you know, you got teams that are looking at the data and deciding that it's safe enough to let their kids, you know, compete. I should say rather the schools rather than the teams. The teams all wanted to compete with the schools, and the schools are allowing a lot of sports to come back. So it was a lot of positive energy, I think, towards the end of the week.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a really exciting time. Do you have any of the rundown scores from week 5?
Definitely run a few scores for you. I know the biggest one that I kind of paid attention to was Chesterton at Valparaiso. Chesterton actually led for a little bit, but Valpo came back and won 31-20. And Tommy Burby, the running back for Valparaiso, one of the best running backs in the region, he had over 300 yards rushing in that game. So for those of you who know football or even have a clue, I mean, that's 3 lengths of the football field in one high school game. So, I mean, that's pretty prominent performance right there. And also we have Bishop Noel, who won their first varsity game, I believe, in about 5 years. They beat Lake Station 64-54. Yes, I said 64-54.
Wow.
You know, just an amazing type of shootout. And I got to give a shout out to my guy, Willie Fegan over at Bishop Noel, quarterback, dual threat, very confident young man. And I'm glad that, you know, after last year they couldn't play a varsity together, but enough players for a varsity team. So I'm glad that he's getting an opportunity to kind of show that he can, you know, compete at the highest level in the region.
Right.
Another scorers we had, Griffith kind of upset Hanover Central 35-8. I wasn't surprised at that score because Hanover Central has been kind of like a team all season, but Griffith, after starting the season late, picked up a really big win. Then you had Andrean, who's kept rolling 52-10 over Highland. Highland actually was leading 10-3, and then, and ran things and kind of ran away with it at that point. Kankakee Valley beat Munster 3-0 to go to 5-0. They're also their best start in about a decade. Crown Point beat Portage 24-21. A little surprise victory for me. And Crown Point's one of those teams, man, they can have like a 5-4 regular season or a 4-5 regular season and not really do too much. But, that's one of those teams you don't really know what to expect come postseason time. Like, I feel like they're well coached, and when it gets to that, everyone's to that second season, they're one of those tougher outs. So look for them to, make a little noise here as we get to this midway point of the season. And then we also had South Bend Riley take down Westside 34-0. Westside's obviously in their new, in their first year with new head coach Eric Schreiber Jr. New program trying to build. So, don't take the score for its face value and just understand they're building their program from the ground up. So those are a few of the scores that, stuck out to me. And I'm excited to get back at it this Friday just because I'll be at the Brickyard to watch Hobart host Andrean, which will be another huge NCC showdown. So fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly and I can be there to cover that game.
Yeah, that's going to be a big regional game. That's going to be something that really a lot of people, if you don't get a chance to go out there, make sure you're listening and find out what's going on in the scores. But you know what we got to get to? We got to get ready to go to the break. All right, so breaking news always, James is first on the scene to give you the break. And I know maybe some of you've heard it, but maybe you all haven't heard it. So, James, tell us what's going on with Keon Taylor Jr.
Yeah, I feel like I should have a soccer or something, like to do like games or something. But Keon Thompson Jr. from Maryville actually has left the school. He's transferred to a prep school down in Florida. The name of the prep school is the National Top Sports Institute Basketball Academy. It's in Orlando, and they're going to play. Actually, his dad just texted me yesterday. They're going to play IMG Academy, which is a huge prep school, one of the best schools in the country. They're going to play them in a preseason game this upcoming weekend. It really caught me by surprise, honestly. I heard about it, got a tip about it, and reached out to Coach Patton over at Maryville, and he confirmed it. And I reached out to Keon Thompson's dad, and I was like, hey, and I always do this, and I probably would do it. I do it more as a high school sports reporter, but whenever I write a story about a kid, I try to at least, one, or touch to the coach for comment, but Patton declined to comment, which is his right. But even then, I went a step further and asked his dad, like, hey, if you want to, talk about your son leaving or whatever, I want to give you that liberty to do so, because I hate to write about a kid, again, a teenager, and not give them a chance or at least their family a chance to talk or speak. So his dad was very open and talking about how his son just wanted to face tougher competition and hopefully reel in some bigger offers down in Florida. He's got 9 Division I offers right now, but all of them are mid-major offers. He hasn't gotten that Power 5, that Purdue or Indiana look. So, I don't know how things will shake out in Florida, but obviously I'm rooting for anybody to get a free education and to, get more of an opportunity to show their skills.
Hey, James, do you think now sometimes it's good to be a big fish in a smaller pond, but what about he's going down there into the hotbed of sporting down there, especially if you're playing against the IMG Academy and things like that? How do you think he's going to fare against teams with better competition than what he was playing before?
I think he'll be fine. I think his role will probably change. I mean, at Maryville, he was the just score. And basically, I won't even say that because I don't want to seem like he's a ball hog. He definitely passed the ball as well, but he was the focal point of the team's offense, and a lot of that offense centered around him creating his own shot. So, I know people will probably say he shot too much or whatever, but to me, the only time you're shooting too much is when you're shooting a lot and you're not making them. I mean, he shot like 55% from the field last year, averaged 30 points a game, and is already the all-time leading scorer in school history for boys basketball. So, in my eyes, I think that he'll be fine down there, but at 6'2", he'll probably have to, move over or transition from being a score-first player to a, more traditional point guard. Even if he's a score-first point guard, he'll probably have to do more to, initiate the offense and run a team's offense, which will be good for him. Even if it doesn't lead to those bigger offers, it's just good for his development overall, because in college, at 6'2", he's most likely going to be, the point guard.
Right, he is. So let me ask this: what does Coach Patton do? What does Maryville do now with this upheaval in their program? How do they replace Keon Thompson in their lineup?
So I do want to point out that, their team is more than Keon. He was obviously a huge part of that. And in my opinion, he was probably the front runner to win our Player of the Year this year. But then again, we do have Jeff Washington and Christopher Mantis at Lowell who might say something about that. But in regards to Maryville, they were all young. They only graduated one senior, so they have all their players coming back. And one of the players I'd like to point out and highlight is DeJuan Bandy. He's kind of like a forward. He's got some good height on him. And he, to me, was the difference in them winning a sectional championship last year. He played huge against Munster, and that upset win in the sectional round, and obviously played good against Central to knock them off the title. But he's a guy who, has developed a great mid-range jump shot, has a lot of athleticism and a lot of upside. Still pretty raw as far as his skill set, but I believe and I know, just knowing him, that he's worked hard over the summer. So you can expect him to take on more of that scoring load and being more of that main guy. And honestly, I kind of like when teams are forced to kind of, face adversity. I think adversity shows you who you really are. Now, granted, do I think they're going to be as good a team without Keon? No. But do I think they can still be pretty good and hold their own in the DAC, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the tougher conferences in basketball? It's going to be tough. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think that, this is all the more motivation for those guys to kind of show like, hey, we're more than, the Keon Thompson Jr. Led Pirates. We're the Pirates, the Maryville Pirates, and it starts with us.
Yeah, that's amazing. Keon reminds me a little bit of his style, younger play of Darius Garland, another regional root player. And I think he's going to do well. Hopefully he'll get there and get some skill behind him and some good training and propel him forward moving on. But let's talk about moving on and what's happening now in week 6. So let's discuss some of the hot topics that are going on in week 6 of the region and what is happening in prep sports that you can tell the listeners about.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing obviously is that, when it comes to sports, the biggest thing is that, I'm sorry, I'm driving and there's this weird light that's red. They're telling me to go through it, the construction workers and the police. So, following orders here. But the biggest thing is that girls golf is actually coming up this weekend, and I definitely want to highlight that. I know I talk a lot about football and basketball, but I'll be heading out to Battleground Golf Course for the girls golf regional, and for the girls and teams that advance, good moving on the state. So that's been a big deal this week. Just checking in with all the girls golf teams. Got some teams that are doing some big things, and we'll talk about more of that later with my after the week on the girls side. And then I think for me, aside from that, is just getting through this weekend, and then next week probably checking in with so many programs to see, okay, I know you're back on, but when are you starting up? Well, when's the first game? I believe a lot of that has been decided for the Hammond schools, but Whiting has been kind of unsure because they, other teams schedule games. After they cancel, a lot of teams already scheduled other games. So I want to figure out what they're doing to try to get, as much as they can in before the postseason starts. So a lot of moving parts as always, but I'm excited to, look at the postseason, and we're kind of in that part of the year where sports start to overlap. We're midway through football, girls golf, and like I said, it's getting down to the wire here, and then basketball will be starting up pretty soon in probably about 3 weeks. So this is when it gets crazy for me, but good crazy because I like it, and it means that the majority of the kids are out there doing what they love, and by default, I'm doing what I love, writing about it.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and we just talked about what's going to happen in Hobart with Andrean, but is there another outstanding game? Is there one other game that you should be looking for in week 6? And it doesn't matter if it's football. Is there one game that you think that the listeners should be paying attention to?
I think that you should definitely check out Michigan City hosting Lake Central, and I know Lake Central hasn't had a great year, but I'll give you all, I guess, the scoop here. Armand Irving, defensive end for he's a defensive end for Lake Central. He verbally committed to Central Arkansas on Tuesday.
Okay. Wow.
Division I FCS school. So it was it was awesome to talk to him about that opportunity. That story will be out, I believe, later today. And make sure you check it out in the paper and online. So he's a stud. Obviously, you don't get a chance to play at the Division I level without that without some skill, without some some size, some athleticism, and just some grit. And it's an amazing story about how he's kind of matured, and really had to look at his choices and realize the path I'm on, making these choices probably isn't the best thing for me. So I need to get my act together. His dad and his coach really reined him in, and he's I guess again earned an opportunity to keep playing. And fun fact for you, Central Arkansas is the alma mater of Scottie Pippen, so pretty cool there. And then I think the reason I want to highlight that game is because again, Lake Central, Armand Irving, but it's Michigan City's first game back since missing those 2 weeks because of COVID-19. So I'm interested to see if they're going to be a little rusty or if they have any just mishaps and slip ups and things like that aren't usually there at this point in the season, just because they've had to kind of shut down and restart all over again.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting week 6. But you know what we've got to get ready to do? We've got to talk about your players of the week. So let's get ready to go to Bring the Noise. Bring the noise. All right, so let's talk about it, James. Who are your outstanding student athletes of the week, the ones who do best on the court, on the field, and in the classroom?
All right, so my first one is Sophia Sanchez from Hanover Central. If you haven't checked out my story yet, it's about her and her mom. Her mom is her golf coach, Beth Sanchez, over at Hanover Central. And she is the first individual girls golf champion, sectional champion in school history over at Hanover Central. And she shot a career low and program low 79 at the Valparaiso sectional. So that's a really great score. And their family is really cool, kind of like a golfing family. And when I went started off practice earlier this week, talked to her and her mom, it was a lot of fun to not only highlight, her success this year in particular with golf, but just her entire life being around the game. Her dad, Pasquale, plays as well. So, it's pretty cool to kind of see that she's gone from being like this 5-year-old little girl who wanted to play because her dad played to now being this young woman who is, arguably the best golfer in girls golf history. At her school. So that was really cool. And then on the boys' side, I got Augustine Varga Jr. from Gavitt. He's a senior linebacker and tight end. And the reason I chose him is because he actually spoke at the Hammond School Board meeting before they had even decided to reinstate fall sports. He spoke, decided to use his voice. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, why did you speak? Did you plan on doing it? He's like, no, man. He said, I was sitting there, and my family's always taught me to just sit with my heart. So he was like, I was sitting there, and I touched something on my phone. I just got up, and they asked me to speak and let me speak. So he went up there and kind of just laid out why he felt that not only him, but all the Hammond schools deserved a chance to compete this year. And moments later, there was a motion brought before the meeting that wasn't on the agenda at all, which caught everyone by surprise, including me, to reinstate fall sports. So to all the kids out there, trying to make something happen, I don't know how much is weight to their decision, but I have to believe that him, and along with a bunch of other kids showing up to state their case for reinstatement, definitely didn't fall on deaf ears. So it was cool to see that his actions basically brought about some change. He get an opportunity to, have his senior season back. So I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him, proud of him. And again, I think he's one of those examples, like you always talk about being a great athlete on the field, but a great person off the field.
Yeah, that is amazing. And we're so proud of our students. And if you haven't checked out James's story in the Times, is an amazing piece on Hanover Central star Sophia Sanchez. So that is something that hopefully all of the listeners get a chance to check out. But before we go, James, we always have to ask you your final thoughts. So let's move to Boyd's final thoughts.
Are you ready for Boyd's noise?
You know,
Yeah, I
James,
think,
we talked about it
Go ahead,
before.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying we talked about it before, and we keep talking about social justice, but it touches your heart and it's something special to you. So what is your final thought for today?
I really, to be honest with you, and probably the first time I'm saying it out loud outside of my household is I didn't feel like working. I didn't feel like doing anything after seeing the news about Breonna Taylor and the grand jury not charging the officers with any crimes in regards to killing her, murdering her, in my opinion, and I'm not even an opinion, it's a fact. But to charge the officers, to let two officers off it, no charges, and one of them to be charged with wanton endangerment for the bullets that missed her and went into her neighbor's apartment. I mean, to charge somebody for missing target live, but not to charge them for the life they took, to me is the epitome of injustice, and to me it also is the American way. I posted this on my Facebook yesterday. I know some folks might disagree with me, it might call me out my name, and I even got a message today on Twitter with the clown emoji and the middle finger from somebody, a white man who was upset with some of my thoughts. But to me, it's like the system is not broken. Everyone keeps telling you the system is broken. This is a system that was created when the first slave was brought here in 1619.
Right.
So I don't want to hear people tell me the system is broken. No, we need an entirely new system. The system, when it was built on racism, inequality, injustice, and equity, is doing what it was designed to do and what it has done for over 400 years. And that is devalue the life of black people, and in this case, a black woman. And the reason why this is making me so angry, and I'm trying to keep my voice down, because I don't want to let anger consume my spirit, but I think about her. She was 26 years old. She was in public service, and she was killed in her own home, and there's no justice for it. People tell me, their family got $12 million settlement. $12 million don't mean nothing because it won't bring her back. $12 million is the least you could do for taking somebody's life. And then, in my opinion, how do you settle with the family for a wrongful death lawsuit and then come out and say that the officers did nothing wrong? That makes no sense to me. So, when I look at my life personally, my black mom, my black twin sister, my black grandma, who is probably my greatest role model along with my mom and my dad, but specifically about the black one in my life, who saved my life, prayed over my life, who have guided me and given me the strength to keep going. It angers me that America continues to basically just put that black lives and really, in this case, black women don't matter. And that will never sit right with me. I will always ride for the black queens because, again, I wouldn't be here without them. And in my opinion, America wouldn't be anything without them. And as long as they continue to devalue their lives, man, I'm going to continue to call that stuff out because it's not right.
Yeah, that's a great way to leave this episode with your final thoughts. Very impactful, one that's meaningful for all of us. And as I can say, we've talked about it before, and this is something when we talk about social justice, where we have as a nation and as a community must do better for our next generation. So, James, we want to thank you, man. And we want to tell the listeners, look, if you haven't read the articles on Augustine Vargas and on Sophia Sanchez, please make sure that you go and check them out. They're online right now. They're in the paper. So you can check out some of the writings. And, hey, man, we want to thank you so much. I know that you're getting ready to go. You got a game to get to. So we don't want to hold you, but just thank you for coming on and taking your time and sharing a moment with us. Jay, is there something you want to say before we get out of here?
Hey, I just appreciate you, man, being a voice out there in the wilderness, crying out for social justice, and keep doing what you're doing, man. We got your back and keep going forward.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm always happy to come on. I live a very charmed life, but at the same time, I think that, we can always demand better from the world around us. Yes, this country is great in so many ways, but you cannot overlook the things that this country is founded on. And at the same time, like I said, demanding better, to me, is showing true love. Like, if you love something, hold it, to the fire and hold it under the light, too. Because I'm mom always says, when that light hits you, it shows you who you really are. So if it's some things that we can clean up internally as people and then outwardly as a society, why not do it? Because, it makes a better place for all of us. So to those out there with the clown emojis and middle fingers, it's all love still.
Yeah, it's a sad society when the best way that you can result to resolving an issue is by name calling and sending emojis. Little emojis. But hey, man, thank you so much. And listeners, if you are not following James Boy, James, can you tell the listeners how they can follow you and find you on social media, any other platform?
Yeah, just search at Romeoville Kid on Twitter, Instagram. Obviously, you can search James Boy too. I keep my government name on there. Unlike the kids that start tagging my stories and stuff like that, their names can be all types of crazy stuff. So I make it easy for you. But yeah, to search that on anything. It could be LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. Feel free to follow me, add me. And again, just know that I appreciate all the support only from you all here on the SIZZLE. But everybody in the region, everybody in Romeoville back home, and just everybody wanting me to keep going. It's been fun, and I'm just getting started. I'm only 24, so I feel like I got a lot of time left to do my thing.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And we're here with you. And thank you for listening to another edition of Boyd's Noise here on Iron Skillet Radio, Iron Skillet Television. We'll see you on the other side.
Boyd's Noise, the best source for prep information in the region. Bring the noise!